The takeover, 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 the takeover.
Got bags of funk in the summer by the truck. Got bags of funk. Got bags of funk.
Yo, this is takeover. This your boy Netto.
It's your boy Mac, baby.
We about to make history. The takeover, the takeover, the takeover, the takeover, the takeover, the takeover.
Yo. What's up, my people? This is the Takeover. We back with another episode, man. And for all my people out there, there's subscribe to us. Appreciate y'all for locking in, tuning in with us, man. We really appreciate it. If you like it, make sure you tell your people to subscribe to it. You know what I'm saying? Subscribe to our Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Google Play. We on everything, you know what I'm saying? Just look up the Takeover Podcast, man, and hit that subscribe button. Even if leave us any artists y'all want us to have up on here, any feedback, you know what I'm saying? Some you like, some you didn't like, we trying to better the brand anyway, so we could use all that, man. So shout out to everybody, man.
And let me just chime in on that and say, if you a fan of the Takeover and you want to support us, we do have merch coming soon. And, we appreciate you, support and everything, because this is a working man podcast, and Mac and I put in what we put in.
Right.
Bills got to be paid. So we for our fans, our true fans, we got some exclusive stuff coming.
Yep.
Mardi Gras wearing everything. But thank you guys anyway, because without y'all we wouldn't be doing this, and we really appreciate it. And to the ones that do message us, gracias. I really appreciate it. Like, it makes, because you be thinking like people nobody listening, or not. We know people listening because we see the numbers, but I'm saying you don't think, and then somebody might tweet something or say like, man, thank you, or I like this. That mean a lot to us, bro. Even the negative stuff mean a lot. We don't get that, knock on wood, but it is what it is. Month of February, we got none other than our man, our Muslim brother, our guy. This the guy. We run into a problem, we got a good team with us.
Praise be to Allah.
And one of my partners that I shoot up with now and then, I'm holding him back because we haven't finished doing our caps and bow ties, but that'll be coming soon too, hopefully. Produced by Mac. Yeah. Brother Willie Muhammad.
That intro is fire, man. Oh my goodness.
Oh, we hip hop, man.
I see that intro is fire.
Yeah.
We could get you one now. You come in on the mic, you be like, whoa.
Fire there, man.
Yeah.
So I'm honored to be here, man, and pick up. I check out the grind that you all are doing and what you all are doing for the city of New Orleans. As I was driving here, I was like, man, you all to me are like kind of like what the Breakfast Club is to nationally,
right.
So the same thing as you all discussing and the advice that you all were giving to the brother that was interviewed, Jacko, the same thing with you all, continue to keep grinding, because cream always rises to the top, man.
Yep.
I wanted you to come on here and say, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salaikum salam. Man, I love when I get that love from
my bad,
guys,
man. That just means peace be unto you.
Yeah,
man. That's all it is. Peace
Trust
be
me,
unto
I
you.
know it. I wanted that from you.
And you know something also, and this connection to hip hop, like remember in New York, where you saw a lot of the rappers saying peace.
Yeah,
well, the 5% culture was Clarence 13X was a member of the Nation of Islam. And then he wanted to take our lessons that we get once we register, called Supreme Wisdom, and he went into the streets. And that heavily influenced the hip-hop culture. So you hear them saying peace. That was a shortening of, instead of saying the greetings of Assalamu alaikum, they'll be saying peace.
Right.
Oh, man. See, something new every time.
Yeah, man.
So actually the 5%ers is a part, like a branch off from the nation.
Well, in these Supreme Wisdom lessons that we get is a lesson. There's a question where Master Farad Muhammad, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad's teacher, asked him who was the 85%, who's the 10%, and who's the 5%. He divided society in America in three categories. The 85% of the deaf, dumb, and blind, paws and animal eaters, easily led in the wrong direction, hard to lead in the right direction. They're loss of the knowledge of self. And that 85% is taken advantage of by the 10% who know the truth, but they teach the 85% lies. But then when it comes to the 5%, it's saying they're the poor righteous teachers, right? And they know the truth, and their job is to expose the 10% and free up the minds of the 85%. So when Clarence 13X left, he began to start teaching that, and his mission was to create that 5%, right? The 5%, the gods, they call them the gods in the earth and stuff like that. So we still see them, of course there's some differences, but nonetheless, we still see them as our brothers, you know, because we birthed from the same mother, Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Master Farad Muhammad.
Right, right.
Man, look, I owe this man so much. I'm gonna tell you something, man. Like, I've been following each other for quite some time. You know, just to give a little backstory. And I just always, when Theta was doing, y'all two were doing the caps and bow ties, I hit Theta up. I'm like, man, like, it's crazy y'all did that, because I've been trying to get in contact with her, you know. But like, we kept on missing one another, you know. And you know, and with time, you know, time got us together. And I really went sit with Brother with Willie on some personal stuff, like, you know, just to talk about just life, you know what I'm saying? And the gems that he dropped on me as our personal conversation, at the time I was working on an album called Supreme Beings.
Yeah, man.
And it was only right that, like, something just came over me, and I was just like, man, can you be a part of something that I have going on? You know what I'm saying? And I don't even think like you really knew exactly everything that was going on, but just, you know, the man that you are, you know what I'm saying? You were just like, I'm honored.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Still honored.
And you don't know what that done for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, because like as a creator, you know, I don't try to make things look forced. You know what I'm saying? I want things to naturally happen. You know what I'm saying? Because you know, I believe in the relationship.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
man.
saying? Like we have to build with one another first. You know what I'm saying? So, and all I can say is, if you haven't heard the album, you're asleep, because more besides what the artists do to the records, what Brother Willie Muhammad is saying on these records is like, it takes you to a whole nother place.
Man, listen, the same way you saw that, it was also a dream come true for me, man, to be, I'm not a rapper. I wish I could rap, though.
Me too.
But just to be able to lend my voice and what I've learned from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and to participate in a hip-hop project. Because the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan loves the hip-hop community. And that's why you see the hip-hop artists responding to him differently than they respond to other leaders, if they even do respond.
Truly respected.
And the minister, because the minister says this, he was teaching some brothers at the table. He said one of the reasons why he's able to attract the artists and the entertainers, he says, because he doesn't freeze them. And what he means by that, the minister, when he meets whoever it is, man, the minister doesn't look at people's shortcomings. When the minister, if he met you today, the minister is looking for God in you, and he says that's what he speaks to. And that's regardless if you are getting out of a Lamborghini, or if you out there begging for money on the corner. And there's a lecture that I'll send it to you, or it's on YouTube. This was the minister when he was the minister in New York. So this was like in the 70s. And he would get up from his desk and go walk in New York. And this was right around the time the heroin epidemic. And he was there, and he's speaking to the brothers who strung out on heroin. Their faces are lighting up. And one of the brothers was like, to show his gratitude for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he grabbed the minister's hand and he kissed his hand. And the minister said, without thinking, he grabbed the brother's hand, a heroin addict, it was swole, needles, print, and he kissed his hand. And the minister said when he did it, he could feel the toxicity coming from the man's skin on his lips, and his lips started to burn a little bit. But the minister said, I know some of you always say that wasn't the wise thing to do. He said, but I wanted to show that brother that my love for him is greater than what he feels his love for me. And that's the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So when he deals with these artists, you know, that's how he comes, man. And I've heard stories with him being at the dinner table with Baby, Eminem, Rick Ross, CeeLo, The Game. And the minister is speaking to the God in them. He's not judging them. You know, he's really trying to tell them, like, really trying to let them know that they are leaders and they have to see themselves as that.
I think if Biggie and Tupac would have let him intervene, they would be living to the day because they let the media separate them and gain. You know, the only person winning that war was the media, and I think they should have.
He tried.
I know, but I'm saying it was some kind of way he should have told him. You know, I need to invite you here, and then invite and get them to like, man, y'all need to stop this right here. You know, and squash this.
But then, because I watched, I don't know if I read it or I watched it. He was about to have a conversation with them, like
No,
some-
he from what I know his son went to try to talk to Tupac and Suge, and Tupac mentions it in his interview. He talked about how the minister, but he was like, you know, when he was like, when you don't see Russia and America coming to sit down, and he wasn't feeling it, but you know, sometimes, man, out of negative, there's a lot of times good comes out of what we consider to be negative. You see what I'm saying? Like with the unfortunate death of Kobe Bryant, it put enough on the heart of Perkins, and Perkins reached out to KD and said, man, let's squash our beef. No matter how painful things is, if we can get above our emotion and put our pain on the side and look, you're gonna always see some good that can come out of it. So even with Notorious Big's unfortunate death and Tupac's unfortunate death, what it made others do, like Snoop Dogg was like, man, we got to do something. So Snoop Dogg reached out to the minister, and the media doesn't talk about that. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan played an instrumental key role in ending that East Coast and West Coast beef. All of the rappers came in. At their Ice Cube squashed his beef with Common. Cypress Hill had a beef with Q.
yeah.
And they had a whole bunch of people that had beefs, and the minister brought them all there, did a press conference. The media never talked about it. The Source magazine did, but those who know. But all of that came out of the loss of Biggie and Pac.
But why they had to take, you know, that shake up like that to have it? And I think because I know how powerful the minister is, I think sometimes he just need to reach his hand out and grab some of the guys when you see them, like the Kodak Blacks and them, like, you know, like sometimes. But I guess you got to be willing.
And that's the thing, like what Mac started off talking about, not forcing something, because even when you force something, the person is not doing it because they want to, right?
Right.
And so like there's a part, man, like as it relates to this healing, and I learned this from watching the experience of Hurricane Katrina. There's a responsibility of the person who is trained to save somebody, but there's also a responsibility on the shoulders of the person who needs to be saved.
Yeah.
If this person drops down the ladder and say, grab the ladder,
You gotta
we say,
climb up.
I ain't grabbing the ladder.
Right.
And so you read through the scriptures, both Bible and Quran. Jesus always required the people to do something too when he healed them. He found a man with a withered hand. He said, reach out your hand. You got to do something. You see what I'm saying?
Correct.
And so the thing is, brother, unfortunately, it takes, because of the condition that people are in, it takes something traumatic to catch our attention. I'll give you the story. I like to use stories. There was this young brother, 6-figure paying job, when I bought him a fly Jaguar. He driving through the neighborhood flossing, top down, just stunting. And he driving and just hear, boom, something. He look around, he realized somebody then threw a brick and hit his new Jaguar, put a huge dent in it. He stops, he's upset, he look around, he see this boy, and he knew immediately that was the boy who threw the brick. He runs over there, he grabs the boy, shaking him. Why did you throw this brick? You just dented my car. After he finished talking and screaming, the young boy crying and said, sir, my brother, pointed over there, my brother fell out of his wheelchair and his machine came unconnected from his body. I've been waving, trying to stop cars to stop, and nobody stopped. And he said, God told me pick up the brick and just throw it in the traffic. And it hit your car. So when the dude heard that, he came back to his senses about what's important.
Right.
Then he went over there, he helped the boy get back into the wheelchair, and the boy touched his face and said, you saved my life. God sent you. And so on his way back, he didn't even think about the dent in his vehicle. He thought about how he got so caught up in his material things that he began to stop realizing what's important.
Right.
And the moral of the story is, does God need to allow a brick to be thrown in our lives to slow us down?
I believe so. Like,
look at this stuff with Kobe. Look at now we having hashtag Dad's Girl.
Dad's
yeah,
girl.
but you know, I'm saying, like, I could testify that in my life, like
All of us.
like last couple years, my life, I was on a super high. I mean, like country trap out the country a couple times, and the brick was thrown at me. You know, the brick was thrown, and I thought that was the best part of my life because, you know, I had my girls, we just traveling, we doing things, and that brick got thrown, and it shook me up. But I was telling Matt, because, you know, if you notice, that's why I took a pause and a step back away from everything. It felt like, I felt like what God was doing was pruning me, like cutting me down if I could sprout up bigger, because you got to maintain your garden and stuff. And I felt that my life was like, I ain't gonna say like super crazy or anything, but I just felt like he had throw something at me.
And the thing, man, you look at it in regards to, that's what I've learned. The last year, I'm learning that all growth doesn't take place just, everything is not going to always be good as it relates to you growing. You know what I'm saying? So you got to begin to start like looking at it and realize that sometimes we're going to have some difficulty, but the difficulty is meant for our growth. And a lot of times people don't understand that they don't realize that, you know, we want everything to be pleasant. But sometimes, I heard a pastor say this, he said, if you look at a bow and arrow, right? In order to get that bow, the further you pull that bow and arrow, that arrow back, is the further it's going to go forward.
Correct.
And sometimes that's with our life. But what has happened, from my opinion, is that because we've been given this Alice in Wonderland understanding of God and life, we don't think that negativity is supposed to happen to us, right? But when you look at it, like if we was baking a cake right now, if I gave you just eggs to eat, just regular eggs, you ain't gonna probably like them. If I gave you just flour and I just gave him vanilla, if you take all of those ingredients by themselves, you're like, man, this stuff is nasty. But if you put them together in the right mixture, in the right recipe, and you bake them, it comes out to a cake that we all want to have. So the goal in life is to not just look at one incident in your life by itself. Look at how it all connects and what's the outcome is going to produce.
And man, and it's crazy you said that, because that was like my whole mission, right? You know, I always felt like, you know, the music scene down here was like we always had a black cloud over us, and me creating, me having the opportunity to do an album, that's what I wanted to do, because I always felt like we have plenty of artists down here that rap, right? So it's like I felt like if one of these artists goes in front, these labels, let's just use record labels or whatever, they could turn that one person around. But if we come in at 9, 10 deep,
movement.
you know what I'm saying? It's a different movement, and it's crazy because I just had a conversation. It's like they told me, somebody just told me this 2 days ago. You are on the right path, but what you did, he don't even think, because he was part of it. He was like, man, I wasn't even ready for this because it was too powerful, and it came, and the way it came, it was just like, man, hold up, like what's happening? You know what I'm saying? And that was me telling them, like, man, we gotta jump off that mountain, like, you know what I'm saying? Because like if we fall, we just gotta dust ourselves back off and climb that mountain back up, you know, because at that point I was willing to, like, man, let's just go full throttle with it. You know what I'm saying? And so just to piggyback what you were saying, like all of us needed to come together, you know what I'm saying, to form one for us to, you know what I'm saying, to do it.
And there's so many, man, fear keeps us from trying so many things, bro. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing, like, we gotta try. And every try that doesn't come out, every try that doesn't come out in a success is not a failure.
Right.
Like I heard the minister say that when scientists go into the lab, if they don't get their desired outcome, they don't see it as, oh, we was a failure. They understand, they go back and look at what prevented us, why didn't we get our outcome? And then they realize after studying that brings us closer to our outcome. So it's really about reconditioning our mind. And like that story you talked about with Kobe Bryant, see, that's the mindset of a master. That's really the mindset of a God. And God is being forced and empowered that this dude realized that I know I'm about to face Allen Iverson. I'm about to go and train and be prepared. And that's the mindset that we have to take in every aspect of our lives. Like, and if we do that and we keep doing it, whatever it is that we're striving for, we're going to end up accomplishing it.
What about the brick going through at America.
Or with Donald Trump?
Yes.
But man, like, we've talked about that before. Donald Trump is only a manifestation that already existed. Because he's a product, right? And you got to look at the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that how God can use Donald Trump to destroy so much other stuff. Like, look at him. He's going to war with the media. He's going to war with the FBI. He's going to war, like every little aspect of it, he's tearing it down.
But he is going to war with them. But the crazy thing is, these same Republicans that talked about him like a dog is bowing down to him. And Steve Scalise of Louisiana is one of the dumbest, pardon me, asses they have in there.
Man.
It's just.
One thing I respect about the Republicans, though.
Oh, they're gonna go.
They ride with their people.
Bury the body.
They ride with their people, and when they get to the Democrats, when they get times when they had a power, they're like they're afraid. But man, everything is happening for a reason, man. It is what it is. Like, I remember how people were walking around like the world was coming to the end when Donald Trump got elected. I remember telling my daughters, like, listen, when I drop y'all off school today, don't be in there acting like the world coming to the end because Donald Trump. Like, man, that don't, listen, we still got life.
We've been going through that. But the bad part is, like,
well, people acting like they're acting like he's the worst president.
Oh, no, he's
not saying that he isn't.
Since our time, like, he surpassed. I thought we wasn't going to see nothing worse than Bush. Hell, he surpassed Ronald Reagan.
And they make. I don't know, man. I don't know, because right under Ronald Reagan is right when they begin to start pushing cocaine into our communities.
Yeah.
So all of them play their part, bro.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess since Donald Trump is in there now, I think the most for me, it was like how the Klansmen really came out and really showed their true colors. It's kind of like, oh, we got the headmaster in office. Now we could come out and really show our true colors.
And you think about it,
like,
as
we're
well.
not hiding it anymore. Like, we hid it too long. Like, you know what I'm saying? And not that they were hiding it, because they definitely were displaying it through other things. But like, it's like when he became in power, it's like it was like
Y'all talk about the Republicans sticking together. You know what kills me about this whole situation?
What's that?
The Christians. My thing is, you so holy, because the Republicans run on this Christianity, but this man, and you name all the stuff every wife he had, he cheated on with the previous wife. The wives always was the side piece. You have that, all adultery, all the stuff he done. But y'all turn a blind eye to this. If the shoe was on the other foot 10 years ago, it was not 10, it was 11 years ago, when President Obama was in office, man, they would have blew their cap.
Man, but you got to understand in regards to what's at the foundation of this country, which is white supremacy.
Right.
So you got to realize white women had the opportunity to make history by electing the first white female president. And going into the election, you would imagine that this man was not going to get the majority of white women's votes. Right. Then that's how it was. That's how it was. Right. But when it came time to get behind that curtain and pull that poll, they overlook history to protect their legacy.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And you got to look at that. And that's what's at the foundation of it. I mean, like, they hear all of that, but in the end, this man is like the ones that's coming out. They realize that this man is going to protect what we have built, which is their legacy, which is based upon white supremacy. They don't want to see a world where it's not based upon color, where it's based upon freedom, justice, and equality. But they fighting. Like, Donald Trump is one of the last. It's like a Hail Mary for them to try to keep their kingdom from falling, which it is falling because people are getting tired of it.
You name one thing the white man haven't touched, he destroyed. Give me one thing.
But if you understand the scripture in the book, not trying to get like religion, in the book of Revelation, the writers of the book of Revelation, and a part of it, they saw 4 horses running across the earth. And one of them, there was a horse it was a pale horse, and on the back of the pale horse was a rider that he was known as Death. And it said everywhere he went, he brought death and destruction. So that's a prophecy. When you look at history, everywhere they went, they brought death and destruction, right? And then there was a rider on a horse, on a black horse, and then he had the scales. And Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan teaches that the scales represent justice. The horse is not so much talking about a physical horse, but it's talking about intelligence. So here's a person that's going to use their intelligence to create debt. Like who created gunpowder was always around in ancient civilizations, but nobody said, let me make a gun to take the life of another human being. The atom has always been around. But they said, let's make it so we can drop a bomb on another group of people. So when you see that, that's where we are in. But like I said, everything happens for a reason, because I remember brother shared this story with me when I was first coming into the Nation of Islam. He used in the movie Brewster's Million.
Right.
And there was a character whose father caught him smoking one of his cigars. And his dad said, you want to smoke? Take the cigars, go in the closet, don't come out until you finish smoking all of the cigars. And he went in the closet, he smoked so many cigars till he was sick, and that experience as a young child made him grow up to be a man. He hated smoking. Right. So sometimes we have to go through all of this sickness on the planet Earth, so then enough people on the earth will rise up and say, you know something, I'm tired of sexism. I'm tired of racism. I'm tired of classism. We're going to change this thing. And that's what's beginning to start happening. You're starting to see more white people stand up and say, I'm tired of this world that my grandfathers built.
Now, are they saying that because they truly tired, or are they saying that because they're hurt and they trying to make up? You know, it's a difference.
It could be
because
it could be both.
You
but
can feel guilt. Guilt don't mean nothing good. It just you feel guilt, like you meant to kill it. When you went to do this, you committed this crime. You did it, but you feel a little guilt after, like, I'm sorry, but you know I took care of my business.
It's a mixture of both, but I do believe that there are some who really are tired of this world that their people have committed, and bringing this back to hip hop. Hip hop music plays a key role in that, because hip hop gave them the opportunity to hear about the conditions that their people created. You know, like I was just dealing with a group of students, showing them how poverty in the black community is not by accident, man. It's documented where the federal government the FHA was telling developers that we will give you money to build subdivisions, but in the deed, on condition that you do not build subdivisions where you will sell homes to black people. That wasn't the KKK. That was like the federal government.
What do you think about this? J. Edgar Hoover, that built the FBI. They have the nerve to wish Dr. Martin Luther King happy MLK Day. Y'all was built y'all killed him.
Yeah, I saw that recently. That was,
and I thought that was
just,
and they do it every year. Like, I remember last year they said something, and Van Jones, he said, "Oh, y'all think we don't know?" Like they said, like happy MLK Day. He said, "Oh, y'all think we don't know?" Like we forgot. And but I'm saying come on, man. J. Edgar Hoover was here to purposely destroy us.
And the COINTELPRO's been after rap music as well.
Oh yeah, I was listening to I think Jay-Z was talking about something, and he said he knew it was real after the I think the big pun. I mean not the big pun. After he went to jail. He said he noticed this police everywhere he went was always there.
He took that plea deal.
And he was like, the dude was like, "You got a gun on you?" He said he told him, "You got a gun on you?" You know, it was like he was like, they got an organization just for us. It's just like they did with the Black Panthers, the Muslims in the beginning, and all that.
For hip hop, like I didn't know, like I heard about it, but actually watching it on the Hip Hop Evolution, when they really tried to stop Uncle Luke, like that
would have changed history.
That shit did it really messed me up, because I was like, man, like this one racist pig, and then what drove me the most is watching these women they're hurting our kids. They doing this and doing that. Like your kids was listening to that regardless when you're not around. They was going to spring break and shaking their ass on the beach somewhere anyway. You know what I'm saying?
I haven't seen that episode. I saw that one that they did with
So they didn't want. So
when they were
sheriff
trying to stop him from
they tried to stop him or whatever, and so this would hit the fan. So in one county he was banned.
Yeah.
But they had he had a concert in that county.
Yeah.
And they were like, and he told the rest of the 2 Live crew, they were like, man,
We're going to jail tonight.
You know what I'm saying? And you know, because he was like, we're going to perform. And
Yeah.
sure enough, they went. And, you know, thank God that he, you know, if it wasn't for Uncle Luke winning that court case,
We would have been
'cause,
sensitized.
Yeah, I would have been like, you wouldn't have been able to see
And see, the
anything.
other thing is you gotta realize as well, like not like I know some of the listeners they might be reading the Bible, whatever, but like in the book of Exodus, you know, Pharaoh started off by trying to kill the children of Israel, killing the male children, sparing the females, right? And we believe that that's talking about what America has done to black men. But then the last plague was what they did to try to do the children of Israel. It came back on them. Their firstborn was killed, right? So what I'm saying is that when you see them talking about controlling rap music and their language, and of course we know that the language is raw, but what they begin to start realizing, like this condition that we created, this monster that we created, these niggas that we created, have now made music that now our children who we've been saving up money to send to Harvard and Yale are eating this stuff that was meant for them.
Right.
And so that's the thing, right? That they were that like, oh, now this Frankenstein is starting to make babies in our community. And that was one of the things that they were afraid of too. And then right around that time, because right around when you had 2 Live Crew, you also had Public Enemy. You know what
I'm
I'm
about
saying?
to say, because think about the message.
Yeah.
The message was talking about broken glass everywhere, you know, and it was telling you the story about what's going on in our.
There's a book, Amari Bakari, may Allah be pleased, when it was called Blues People. I read it when I was in college, and he said, if you look at black people, music that they're listening to at any given time, it'll tell you about what they were going through. And man, I remember when gangster rap started. My cousin came home, we had this white cassette tape, it was Blink. And it had NWA,
That's
Dope
a-
Man,
yeah.
Dope Man. Right. Man, I was like, yo, do you hear what this dude's saying? And listen, it changed. And right when that changed, then came crack cocaine, right? And you see, and you see it.
And I remember when I first heard NWA,
Oh, my
I was
goodness.
on my way to summer camp. Like
That's
we was going to like Fountain Blue to go swimming or something,
Yeah.
and somebody had it and gave it to me. I ain't gonna lie, I fell in love. I ain't gonna lie.
Man, listen.
You know, because I was already hip hop, but because there was
Man.
that easy does whatever the first one, and I just was.
See, man. You know,
I
like,
don't know.
Man, music is such a soundtrack to your life. Like, what I like about music, it's like photographs. You can look at a photograph and you can remember.
Right.
And music is like that. As I was driving here to show you how life is, man, the first time I was shot at was right around here.
You were shot at?
Yeah, man. Like, right,
I forgot you was thugging before you found the nation.
The song, no, I wasn't. Yo, man, this area right around here for Rhett, like you
Yeah.
see where that Domino's piece is?
Yeah.
Oh my dude, it was like a war zone. And if we would have, like, we went through the block, and when we went through the block, I can tell automatically these dudes are hustling right there. We was looking for some girl's house or something. So we came back. I said, they used the little not the cell phone, the payphone on the corner. And we got back in the car. I said, man, do not make that turn. Do not go back up for Red and make that turn. Because I knew them dudes had lined that street up. Man, we came like to the end of the corner. And the dude was on the corner. And one of my friends rolled the window down. He's like, say, bro, you know where your girl? The dude say, didn't y'all? I said, pull off.
But you
And
know
he
that's
ran,
the number one
boom, boom,
thing
boom.
when you
But guess
say
what? No, it was what made me think about hip hop. It was a Welcome to the Terror Dome was on playing in the I never forget that. I'm like, Lord, this dude banging at us, man. They're
But you know that's like
playing.
the number one thing when somebody about to shoot you or about to kill you, they say, hey man, what it
Yeah, when they didn't y'all duck. But it's just, just like, but how life comes back full circle. You know what I'm saying? In regards to, I just thought about that when you mentioned Public Enemy. When Public Enemy, that came to our mind like, damn, I just connected to this area.
I remember my man Big S had bought that Public Enemy, that album.
Cold blooded.
I was like, yeah, damn, since you say it now, I remember them times. Like, it always bring you back.
So I can't wait to go and check out that brother song with Big Crit and
man.
David Banner? Oh, it's nice.
That's a big thing for him to be on there with David Banner and Big Crit,
I mean,
man.
and Night Wonder did the did the beat.
I ain't like, he didn't really say that much on air, but he's connected with a lot of major producers, like in the industry. You know what I'm saying?
And he put the work in. That's the good thing.
And one of the things I be feeling bad, like I think about all them brothers that was on Supreme Being, like real spitters, right? And you think about these like Nesby Phipps, all these brothers that can rap, man. Then you hear some of the stuff that be on it, a lot of the stuff that be on the radio. You're like, man, how is this on the radio?
But see, so that leads me to like this, right? So that's one thing I always loved about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, that no matter how many times they ever try to stop him from doing something, he always found a way. Like, you're not gonna stop me. I'm gonna create my own network.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
you know what I'm saying? We're gonna do everything that we could do to make sure that my voice gets heard and stuff like that. And that's like watching him, listening to him for so many years. When somebody tells me, we can't do something, like, this is why I'm so prideful in the takeover, because you can't stop this.
That's a God spirit.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like when these big companies don't want to play you, but they can't stop us if we do our own show.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And I know in that media world, you playing with the devil. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know that, just because it's competition, they don't want you, they really don't want you to grow, because they don't want you to relay your message. You know what I'm saying? They want to they want to make sure that they put out the message that they want to put out. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's
But
one.
that's a good mindset to have, and that's a good mindset to keep. Like, really, when your mind is made up on something, man, you only person that can really stop you is yourself. When you really want to do something, and I remember Puff Daddy watching an interview, and he talked about he was in an experience where he allowed somebody else to impose their will on him, and he said, I would never allow that again. And that's what, when you hear us say that the black man is God, the black woman is God, it ain't saying that's God that we bow down, but it's talking about God in the sense of force and power. So each and every one of us has to use our force and power to bring into existence what we want to do. And if we are serious about it, all of that opposition to try to stop us from doing it, that's only a test of our God force. But if your will is strong, it will be made flesh. It will be made a reality.
And that's why I just feel like, I'm at a point where I'm unstoppable. Like, nobody could, tell me, because the worst thing when you talking to someone or you asking for something and you want to do something, like I told that earlier, like when we go out and we talk to people, the worst thing they could tell us is no.
And what's that?
You know what I'm saying? Which for me, that's motivation. Like,
Yes.
all right, you turn me down, but it's just motivation. You know what I'm saying?
What's that sister who owns TV One? I heard her tell a story. I think she said she applied for like 62 loans and they told her no. And it was maybe the 63rd one when somebody said yes, and now she has TV One. So that's the thing, and that's really like the trial. A lot of times as people, we give up instead of keep grinding and keep pushing. But if you look at successful people, they didn't run from difficulty, they've overcome difficulty. Like you see with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in the middle of a speech in New York, and he said, we're going to take 1 million men to New York, to DC. And he said once it was out, he was like, yo, God didn't put this on my mouth to put 1 million men. He said, now it's time to go to work, to say be, and it is. Like, I've been dealing with some young people, and I've been teaching them to understand the power of visualization, to see what you want to do and then begin to start going to work to do it. And I think in regards to, that's the power that God has given to every human being, but religion has been taught in a way where it has, unfortunately, you go to a church, you go to a religious house of worship, and it teaches the God out of you. Whereas like I did a lecture and I said, I Googled an article, like the most powerful verses Jesus ever said. And I'm going through all of these verses, and I'm going through all of these articles, the top 50, the top 30. And none of them mention this verse where Jesus said, don't marvel at my works, because greater works shall ye do. That should be the number one thing that people should be talking about, because if you can do greater works than him, then the world wouldn't be in the condition that it is. But everybody is waiting for Jesus or whoever to come back to handle simple stuff. Jesus is going to come back and he's going to take care of the litter. No, you stay there. One time we were behind our mosque, and the brother who lived there, he came out and he said, man, you know what y'all need to do? Y'all need to get somebody to come and fix that light. I said, we need to get somebody to come and fix that light. Man, you stay here. But see, that's the mindset. Like, people have been miseducated and religiously miseducated, where we don't realize that the Bible opens up with the verse that God created man and woman in his image and his likeness. If we made in his image and his likeness, he don't need to come and do everything. And see, like when brother was asking about Clarence 13X, that's when he went out and he was teaching. That's when you see the 5%ers, they say, I'm God, I'm God. And many of them go a little overboard, because if you are God, then how can God look taking alcohol and putting it in his temple? You see what I'm saying? So they go a little off, but the thing of it is, the mindset of a human being. It should be a mindset that I'm supreme, that I'm going to master whatever I am involved in. And that's what we have to begin to start teaching our children. Like when you was telling your son, connected him to what Kobe Bryant was, that mindset. That's the mindset that we have to begin, because when we give them that mindset, then they realize that, you know something, I can change the world in which I'm living in. Like I deal with students, and it burns me up. You hear students, and they say, man, the teacher gave me a D. The teacher gave me a B. I'm like, the teacher ain't give you nothing. That's what but you see how we give other things our power? And so that's that's the problem. That's why the world is in the condition that it's in, because we have to learn that we are the very power in which we're looking for.
Man, you know what's crazy? My daughter is a senior this year. And I was asking her, like, we was trying to pick schools. So she was all high. She was like Loyola, Xavier, or Dillard, right? And she come back home, she was disappointed. I'm like, what's wrong? She said her counselor told her she don't need to go to them schools. Like, that's too much. She was like, you need to go to this school. I'm like, wait a minute. How's she gonna tell you where you need to go?
Yes.
I'm like,
What school did she recommend? I'm just asking. What school did she recommend?
no, she recommended it was a black school. But I'm like, nah, man, you
Don't limit me.
But she kept on directing her to this one area, and I'm like, you a counselor. You know, you supposed to be the better for the kids. This is not being you crushing them. It's like you conditioning her to accept whatever somebody else gonna
Mediocre.
say. Yeah, and I'm like, I was hot. You know, I was hot, and I was like, let me calm down, because I don't want to go to the school, and then y'all gonna be seeing me on the news, because I'm just gonna go plumb left. But my thing is, like, and this is a black lady.
Yeah, but
And you know, I'm like, damn, you can't uplift the kid. Like if she said this, if she wanted to go to Princeton or Harvard, you'd be like, you know what? You can go anywhere you want to go. And especially being a black lady, you get more grants and everything. It's set up for us. You know, well, them. Because if you noticed in the last, I want to say decade, the number one most educated and number one graduate with degrees is the black woman.
yeah, they leading in entrepreneurship
and everything.
with your wife with her stuff too.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. And it just kills me when somebody that look like you tell you what you can't do.
Well, you got to realize that they have been conditioned to believe that
But
we
they
can't do it.
they's the people that's shaping our kids.
But that, look, bro, like that's just why as a parent, I don't put that much power. I don't give them that much power.
Exactly.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
right, but I'm saying is they going through the school stuff. You know, they pick, because I knew what, I'm like, you go, I was telling her, you go anywhere you want to go. We're going to apply any college you want to go.
But it's a blessing that you were there to be like, and that's what he's saying, that you were
but
there
I'm
to
saying
be able to
it was-
counter that
but,
poison.
but I'm saying, like, this is, you would think, because I don't send them to school to get babysitted. You know how, like, people just send their kids to school for thinking the school supposed to babysit or do whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and that was the thing. And that's what, like, just upset me, because all these years that I instilled in her, she could go to any school, and for her to come home and say, this counselor told her, nah, she can't go to that school.
Yeah,
That was
limited.
the messed up part.
Yeah. So, all right, man.
But that's, you know, that's what it is. And that's what it is.
Nah, man. One thing I do want to. I'm always watching what you're doing, man. And you're just so impactful to the city, you know. And I don't think a lot of people. It's like I just feel like a lot of people want to be behind you guys, but it's like, you know, it's kind of like, you know, they got fear, you know. There's always excuses, right? You know, and I'm one of them. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm openly speaking about it. You know what I'm saying? Because I love when you guys, like, when y'all went on Canal Street and y'all, you talk, you know what I'm saying? Because, like,
Yeah, that was powerful.
yeah, man, and I just feel like we need more of that, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it could, I just feel like we just need more of that, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, we need to protect the youth, which is our future.
And that I think in regards to, I'm a big fan of everybody got to do their part, man. In regards to, like, we started off when we was talking about Clarence 13X and you talking about the youth. That's what he did. He wanted to take the teachings of the Most High Elijah Muhammad to the youth there in New York. So he brought what we have as the lessons. And when he started there, he started talking about the supreme alphabet. That's what the 5%ers have, and the supreme mathematics, where they talk about the number 1 represents this, the 2 represents that, and they have their own culture. But the whole purpose of what Clarence 13X was trying to do was what he learned from the Most High Elijah Muhammad was to take this message to young people and black people in particular to let us know that you are that divine being, you have that divine essence in you. That you are a God, right? Not that you're a God that somebody needs to be praying to, but you are a God where you're supposed to use your force and power to change your life, to change the world. So when he talks about supreme mathematics, all that was meant to teach people that, listen, you made in the image and likeness of God, so get up off your knees and begin to start changing the world, but first start changing your life. But the problem is that religion has been taught in a way and education has been taught in a way where we don't look for God in ourselves. So I'll close, and I always like to use these stories. Satan realized that he only had a certain amount of time to rule the earth, right? So he called all of these animals on the planet Earth. And he said, listen, I need y'all help to hide from human beings a power that God has given them, which is the ability to shape their own lives, to shape their own destiny. He said, I need y'all to help me hide that from them. So a buffalo came and said, give it to me. I'll travel the earth and I'll put it somewhere on the earth. They will never look for it. He said, nah, man, one day I think they're just going to travel. They're going to populate the earth and they may find it. Then a salmon came and said, give it to me. I'll bury it in the deepest part of the body of water on the earth. He said, nah, I think one day they're going to go there. Then the eagle came and said, give it to me. I'll put it on the moon. He said, nah, they're going to go there. Then there's this animal that's called a mole. And it's said to be physically blind, but in Native American tradition, it's said that it's spiritual. It's known for spiritual insight, spiritual vision. It stood up and it was so confident, it said, give it to me, Satan. I know where to hide it where they will never look for it. And Satan was like, wow, where you going to hide it where they're going to never look for it? He said, I'm going to hide it in them. And he said, after you get finished dealing with them, they will never look for that God force in themselves. And that's what we are today. You look at it, you find people blame everything on Satan. They lost their keys. That's nothing but the devil, right? And then anything good, we're waiting for it to come out of the sky. But damn, we right here.
Right.
And you praying and you asking for stuff that God already gave you the power to do. So this is where I'm at. Like, sometimes people say, man, why God allowed that to happen? And I say, which God you talking about? Because the God that allowed that to happen is you. Why God allowed that little child to get shot? Well, what God you talking about? You knew your cousin was out here running the streets, but you still allowed him to come to the party where you know he had heat on him? And when the dudes he was beefing with saw he was there and they shot and your child got killed, was that God up there or was that you? Mm-hmm. And see, that's the thing that we have to understand as human beings. Like, we got the power to do stuff, but until we realize that, we're going to keep praying and keep doing the holy water and all of this stuff. And that's why I'm thankful for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, because they're trying to teach human beings that, listen, of course there's a God, like this cell phone. Man, they got so many apps on this cell phone, like Capital One don't even really want you to go to the bank anymore. They just say, take a picture. They got so much stuff you can do with these iPhones. These iPhones are powerful, right? But let that battery go dead on this sucker. You can have all the apps you want. Yeah. It ain't going to work. And that's with the human being. So with the human being, we stay connected to the God outside of ourselves, but we got to remember that we got the God inside of us as well.
Man, I don't even know how to.
We can't even back this on.
We can't even back that, man.
That's why I like Brother Willie. He's like deep, smart, and then
get it from the minister, man.
You know.
Yeah.
But you can get it, but you got to be able to take it in and
true that.
And deliver it. And you deliver it in a way I think is perfect.
Praise
like
be to God,
I tell people when I say dumb it down, I'm not talking about just dumb it down. Like, you give it to me I can understand it.
Yeah, that's
like,
the key.
Never once I left talking to you and this was dumbfounded. I always left with something and understood everything.
Y'all keep it up, man. Y'all keep the takeover going.
Hey, when
appreciate it.
we Captain Bow Ties,
Yeah, let me know, man, when you ready. Let's get it, man.
you think the people ready for it?
We don't have no choice. We
Yeah.
got a lot that we can talk about.
We
man.
do, especially with this guy we have in office. Boy, you gonna keep us full.
We gotta I feel like we got, you know, I need you to tap in with us at least, you know, once every 2
Listen,
months
man,
like that, you know.
Hit me up, man. Hit me
Man,
up.
listen,
I'm willing
It's like,
to
you
come.
know, let's keep this like, you know, like I said, like it don't have to be like, you know, every month, but like I
Yeah.
said, once every 2 months, let's
Yeah.
recap on some things and, you know.
Let's talk about hip hop, man.
Man, I need that mystical door opening thing, cause like, the door is always open. Man.
Okay, that's what it is.
Nah, man, thank you. You know,
Thank you all, man. Appreciate it.
You already
man.
know, you know, you already know where you
Bless.
like, you know, where
definitely.
you at with me, man.
Let's get it together. Salute to you all, man.
That's one thing I can say. He always hit. I can go a month. He gonna hit me up. You okay, my brother?
Yeah, gotta check
I'm
on
gonna put
you,
this in the universe, man. We need to get the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on takeover, man.
Oh, that would
We
be
we
sweet,
go to
bro.
Chicago.
That would
Wherever.
be sweet.
We go to
I'm
Chicago.
gonna see. I wrote him a letter asking to meet with him, so I'll see.
Yeah.
There you go. I put it out there. Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen. Y'all be good, man.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you
the
all.
takeover.
Peace.
Peace.